Doing today? Today, I have a very special guest on Saxophones. He is a recording artist, amazing guitarist, and just a great young man. And his dad is a great saxophonist. We're gonna find out about that too. This is Lemek. How you doing, brother Lemek?
What's going on, man? This is great to be here and ready to have a great conversation, man. Pleasure. Thanks for
Hey
having me.
man, I was thinking about it the other day. I did see you at NAM. You were at NAM last year, right?
Yeah, I was at now.
I think I saw you with Adrian Crutchfield and Brittany
Hmm.
Atterbury. I think you guys were,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was right over there. So I said, yeah, you look familiar. So I did see you. I just didn't get a chance to say hello. But
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, nah, we were there. I'm gonna be there in a couple weeks as well, man. It's gonna be a good time.
yeah, man. So hey, so that's a beautiful thing. So before we get started, uh, I'm gonna wish you a beautiful 2026, brother. Much continued
Nice.
success. You know.
Yes, likewise to you as well, man.
All right. And before we do that, though, so now I want to ask you to, if you don't mind reflecting on 2025, how was your year musically last year?
Oh my gosh, it was one for the record books, most certainly. Like you said, we started off with the NAM show. I got to connect with a lot of my friends that I met in 2024 and build upon those relationships. I got to finally meet Adrian Crutchfield for the first time, which is the coolest dude ever, bro. Like if you know him in real life and you just like you get to talk to him, bro, the dude is freaking hilarious, man. But got to meet him, got to meet Brittany, I got to meet Najee, one of my musical heroes. Got to talk to him for a while. Reconvene with a lot of my friends. And that was just a great start to the year because, every time I go to the NAM show, it's just a nice little fellowship because you get to see your friends every year. It's like a mini vacation for a musician because a lot of times we, as musicians, we're traveling and a lot of it's just work, you know what I mean? But that kind of deal is just makes us feel like we're in a vacation. Then went to Houston, did a show with my dad at the Scott Gertner's Rhythm Room, which I'm actually going to be performing at again in a couple months. And that was cool. But the highlight, which I know anybody that knows me can attest to this, the highlight was I did the Dave Cobb's cruise last summer,
Wow.
and yeah, that was the absolute the crown jewel of the year. Was just nothing top that. We went from the Netherlands to Norway to Iceland and then back. It was a 2 week cruise, and everything that I just mentioned about the NAM show, you can like 3x that for the cruise because half the industry is there. Anybody
Right,
that you're a
right.
fan of with like smooth jazz and stuff like that. If you're a fan of these artists, they're pretty much all there. So it was 2 weeks of just nonstop fun, action, and great music and vibes. And that led into some opportunities as well. I got to network a lot, and then that fed into a show I did in Seal Beach at Spaghettini's, which was a great show, first sold out show, which was amazing. Had a
Yes.
great time. And then, after that, I kind of wound down for a little bit and had some dates towards the latter end of the year that I did with my dad as well, going to what was it, Hampton, Virginia, and then Vegas. So that was a great year, man, and I'm looking forward to continuing that trend in 2026. I have a lot of things planned that I'm excited about, and it's going to be a good time. So we'll see what this year holds.
Now, that's all right, man. And you're right about
Yeah.
Adrian Crutchfield. I met Adrian about 4 years ago at NAM.
Okay.
Just me, I played sax as well. So not as well, but I played sax. And we
Hey,
just
you
kind of
better than
connected.
I am.
No, no, we got to get into that because I got a bone to pick with you, man.
Oh Lord, what I do to you, man?
The first thing I wanted to ask, I was like, I didn't know that your dad, was a
Mhm.
sax player first. And when I was doing my research, I remember seeing him on Jazz Flight podcast. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I was like, oh, man, he looks so young himself and got a young son. I was like, that's all right, man. So,
Yeah, yeah. Man, my dad is he's the architect of the reason I'm even sitting in front of the screen talking to you right now. Because without him, his influence and getting me started on the musical journey, it's one of those deals where I don't know what I'd be doing. It culminated in a very nice success for, I guess, not just me, but both of us, because now I'm doing this music thing, but he's also had success at the same time. and we've kind of come up together. And he's been doing music for years, even before I was born. But him putting that gift in really nurturing my talent to be able to do what I do is paid dividends because I don't want to do anything else.
Hey, I don't blame you, man. But I was just wondering how. So, what was your first instrument? When did you start playing music?
So I started playing music when I was 2. It was the drums was my first instrument. So my dad, his philosophy was, "Hey, let's go ahead and I want to get my son into music and just to see if he takes to it. But the instrument he'll start me off on with something that's like any band will need a good drummer. You got to have a good drummer. That's the foundation of any musical band or any music. So if you can get good and proficient at that, you'll always have work." So
Right.
that's was his baseline. So I started at 2. I played for a few years. I actually got pretty decent from what I can remember. But we moved from Florida here to where I now reside outside of New Orleans in Louisiana. Um, and the house we moved into was it's significantly smaller. And my dad at the time he was building his home studio, so he was like, "Okay, look, we only have certain amount of space here. This drum set's taking up space." So he tore that down, put it in the attic, and I never played drums again. So that's how that worked. And this segues into why I play guitar now. So I think maybe about a year or so later, his friend comes to the house. I guess it was for my birthday. I just found that out recently because I asked him. So I tell this story a lot, but I'm like, until recently, I was always like, I don't know why he came to the house, but just shows up with a guitar. Imagine somebody just the UPS man just come hands you a guitar and just like, I didn't know what it is. Like, like that's weird. But he comes to the house, hands me an acoustic guitar, and I found out it was for my birthday at the time, and I immediately took to it. Like, just started plucking strings, figuring stuff out, and for the most part, I'm completely self-taught on my instrument. I taught myself how to play, and it just clicked for me. It's like love at first sight.
Wow.
And he then sat me down one time. This is about a year or so later. He then bought me an electric guitar, and he sat me down and with a what was it, a cassette player, and played Stanley Jordan's "The Lady of My Life."
That was
And
it.
it was like, yeah, that was it. Well, I mean, look, I'm what 5 or 6 at the time, and I'm sitting here. You got me telling me, oh, go learn Stanley Jordan. I'm like, dude, this is like alien to me. I don't know how to play this crap. I could barely play a G chord. Like, you know what I mean? But that that I didn't appreciate that happening until a lot later in my musical career. But yeah, that was how I got started was really with drums, and then I transitioned over to guitar. And hey, rest is history, right?
I'm asking about Stanley Jordan. I remember now, if my memory serves me correct, isn't he the one that used to play a lot up on the neck?
Tapping.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So he was a early pioneer of the tapping technique. So it's like you the way he does is a little different because I think if you ask any person that is a musician or guitarist or just a regular person, if you tell them what tapping is, they probably think of Eddie Van Halen because he's the most famous user of it.
Right,
But
right.
Stanley was around that same time and he also did it, but his technique is a little different because he also plays chords on the bottom and then uses the right hand to play the melody on top. Van Halen would use it kind of like as I don't know, like he's very abstract. Like he'll just use like just for notes here and there and stuff like that to create runs. But he actually played like full pieces with it. Like just Stanley Jordan is a very underrated classical guitarist as well. When you listen to his phrasing, his technique, and the way he approaches that instrument, and it's a beautiful thing. I actually finally just got to see him live a couple months ago, and I had him sign my guitar that the first electric guitar I ever had that I actually tried to learn the lady of my life on, and that was a great experience too. But I got to see him do that up close and personal. I'm like, dude, there's nobody that's like him.
Yeah,
That's he is one of one.
yeah,
There's no peer. There's nobody else that does what he does like he does it. So, um, but yeah, man, Stanley's freaking insane, man.
yeah. Now, did you have any other influences coming up? Any Santana or
Yeah,
anything?
yeah. So my influences It varies. So I'm not your orthodox, I guess you can say, jazz guitarist. I appreciate a lot of the jazz greats, Stanley being one, Wes Montgomery, George Benson, Earl Klugh, a lot of those guitarists as well. But mainly where my influences were really lying were partly like the rock and fusion players. Because after I was like 5 or 6. I go into like my early preteens and teenage years, and I start listening to a lot more like heavy rock and stuff like that. Because there's this guitarist that I would watch that did covers of like video game music. Because as a kid, I'm into video games and stuff like that. But as much as I love playing the video games, I always listened to the music, and video game music was like so like freeing for me because it wasn't formatted, because if you go listen to music on a radio, it's pretty formulaic. Like you have your verse, you have your pre-chorus, chorus, bridge somewhere in there. But um, video game music doesn't follow that formula. It's more freeing, you know what I mean? It's more like movements, like you would hear in a classical piece. And there was this guitarist that would cover that kind of music, but he would make it sound like a rock player. But as much as I loved his covers, his playing was really what stuck out to me. And his melody, the way he would transfer those melodies was it just spoke to me. And I would see the technique and I was like, I never heard a guitar do anything like how he was playing it, unlike what Stanley Jordan did. You know what I mean? Like Stanley was the only one who made me feel like, what the heck? I didn't know you could do that on this instrument.
Right.
So, that kind of got me into the rock phase at the time. And so what I did was I picked up my guitar again. I had actually quit for like a few years, like maybe 3 or 4, just didn't feel like playing it. But he reignited that passion that I had for the instrument to like relearn it. And I was like, okay, I want to take this seriously, and this is what I want to do. If nothing else, I'm going to get good at this. And so I would learn, I would practice, and that took me into the rock lane where I would listen to like Charlie Perez one. I would listen to a Japanese guitarist by the name of Shu from a band called Galneris. Then I would get into more jazz fusion stuff like Mike Stern, Alan Holdsworth, and stuff like that. That takes me into that kind of lane, and even some new like progressive um, artists like Tosin Abasi, Aaron Marshall, Tim Henson from Bolivia, those cats that are now like emerging in the scene. And all of that kind of was a hodgepodge of I'm taking little bits and pieces from all of these influences and trying to find my own sound in that. Um, then eventually later, let me know if I'm rambling
No,
too
no,
much for
keep
you,
going,
but
bro. It's
yeah,
interesting, man.
yeah. Yeah, so a few years later, I think this is like 2017. My parents, we've been traveling pretty much the country, trying to, handle business life, right? But I decide, like, look, I'm tired of traveling the country with this and, living in these different places. I want to stay home. Like, I want to stay home. So I'm coming back here to Louisiana. I'm by myself. And my cousins, they run a school here in New Orleans called the Neo Jazz School of Music, and they put on a jam night every Wednesday night. And what that would do is I would just go down there every Wednesday and I would just jam with them, doing standards, like doing some Ronnie Laws tunes, like Friends and Strangers, then doing some R&B standards, all the stuff like We Are One, Before I Let Go, EWF, all that kind of stuff. Um, but the thing is I was trying to marry that, like all the stuff I learned in the bedroom to live. And that's a topic that I like to talk about because it's like I grew up in the age of the bedroom guitarist, right? So I'm not sure how it was prior to that, like back in the 80s and 90s. It's like, you jam with your friends, you form a band and you're out playing for people. But it's a little different where I came in because now you're playing for Instagram people. Like I'm playing for people on a telephone that's going to see it and trying to get views and stuff like that. So you can perfect the take as many times as you need to before you post it and anybody sees it. Compare that to you play live. Whatever you play now, that's imprinted. So training myself out of that in building the chops to be able to actually perform for people live is it was a different experience. And so that was where I really learned like, okay, this is who I need to be. I need to learn this language now. And I get asked this question a lot from, podcasters or interviewers. They ask me is like, what's the best way, what's the best advice you have for a young person that's trying to get better at their instrument or get better at music? And I say, go play with people. Because that's how I became Lemek, the artist, like one that, has two records out, all the success, and I'm performing for people is because you have to go out and gain those skill sets playing with other musicians because that's how you learn. That's how you get better. Because I'm telling you, when I went to that jam session the first night, I was freaking terrible. I was terrible. My uncle was there. He was like, at first, he told me this. I remember he told me, because he's like, at first, I was so happy you were coming, but this was like 3 or 4 months down the road. Um, he told me he's like, at first I was happy you were coming, but now you were like taking yourself to the next level. And that was solely because I'm playing with like A+ musicians in the city. Like my cousin Yael, he plays keyboards, phenomenal keyboard player. Um, play with Xavier, my boy, phenomenal drummer. And these cats are in the city, they're gigging, and we have some of the best musicians in the world comes from right here in New Orleans. And that's the pedigree that I had to, work my way up to be able to hang with. And so that's kind of my deal. I'm sorry if I went off on a
No,
tangent.
no,
I
you
forgot the question, man, but
that's okay. I wanted to ask you, being that your father was in the business, and I know this is what you wanted to be as a young man, but did he ever tell you, just hey, this music thing it ain't for the weak now. So, I mean, he gave you the real all
no,
the way around?
yeah, for sure. He
Yeah.
100% let me know what the deal is because I'm sure you if once you get him on the podcast, I'll let him tell that story if you want to ask him. But um, he knows better than anybody what the deal is with the industry. So he drilled that into me very young. But also, I didn't really have to deal with that too much because since he knew what was out there and awaiting, he straight up like, no, you're not. We're not going that route.
Right.
So I bypassed a lot of the BS that's going on in this industry. Simply because of his knowledge and his character and the values he's instilled in me. He's like, listen, the main thing that I preach at any of my concerts is just values that I learned from him is to be honest, have integrity, and be somebody that has good moral character, and you will not be taken advantage of, and people will want to work with you, and that's been a true testament to my success so far. Is just being somebody that people can rely on, people can work with, and I preach that to anybody that I know personally or that I'm at when I'm talking to an audience because um, you know, I don't think that's things that are, uh, should I say, promoted nowadays. Especially, it's a lot of selfishness going on, and a lot of people can be jaded because of the experiences they have, like being in the industry and stuff like that. They get taken advantage of, and that casts a negative shadow on them, and then that's ends up being what they promote in the music is what I've seen. But back to your question, he is instrumental in all of that because he's been there, done it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
So I would be a fool to not rely on that wisdom and not take heed to that and not listen to that. So
Right.
yeah,
That's what's up. And the thing
yeah,
too about jazz guitars or guitar or jazz saxophone, the bottom line is music is music. The
hmm
notes, we still got the same notes. We still got 12, right? You know what I mean?
hmm
We got 12
yeah,
keys and that's it. So
you
whatever
got to
you
make it
play,
work.
yeah, you got to put in the work, and whatever you play, you play. So if you only have a jazz repertoire and you can work as a jazz musician, that's great. But if
hmm
somebody, need a jingle done or something, or you know what I'm saying, somebody needs somebody to
hmm
sit in for a guitarist or a sax player,
hmm
a
yeah,
country or whatever, then
hmm
if you want to work, I mean, it just would behoove you to just
yeah,
hone your skills. So, am I right about that?
yeah. Yes, you are 100% correct, and that'll go into the topic of not limiting yourself and being open-minded to different musical styles. That's something I kind of struggled with early because you tend when you like something so much, you tend to stick with it. But I think that also inhibits your growth because then you're closing off different avenues that could potentially give you ideas to grow. Case in point for me is I have never been a big country fan. Just never loved country music that much. It just didn't do anything for me. Um, as of recently, I've been like maybe say the last 5 years or so, I've been forcing myself to listen to it and trying to get knowledge of it. Like I started from like, why do people like this type of music? Like what really moves them to listen to this? Because this doesn't move me personally. But somebody else, I have cousins that'll be like, I will die for country music. Like, and I'm just looking at you, I'm like, okay, that's kind of crazy to me because I mean, how many times could you listen to somebody's
Mm.
dog dying and the
Yeah,
tractor breaking
yeah,
down
yeah,
until you like, okay, bro, like I get it, man. Your girlfriend left you. All right. Let's talk about something else now. But
yeah.
no, but I forced myself to listen to it. And when I tell you I now have a very strong and newfound respect for country artists, man, because especially from playing, because country guitarists, I mean, they are the most technically proficient guitarists you can possibly find. I mean, I love country guitar playing now. Can never get with it. It always sounds like hillbilly stuff.
Right,
It's
right,
like
right,
man,
right.
but no, there's a lot of music there, and if you really listen to it, you can really take a lot of inspiration. And I've actually been practicing a little bit, and you know, trying to implement like, okay, how would that work into what I do? And see, I wouldn't be able to if I didn't open my heart and open my mind up to be able to do something like that, then I would just stay stagnant because that's I've gained new skills now because I'm listening to that. Same thing with hip hop. Like I've always been a whole old school hip hop head. New school not so much, but uh been listening to a little bit new the new stuff that's coming out and stuff like that. And what that's doing is helping me with my production skills and writing. Figuring out like new neat little production tricks that now match the industry standards. And I want my music to be at that level of quality. Same thing with I've always been a blues fan, but could I say indie pop.
Right.
Not been the biggest fan, but forced myself to listen. And there's a lot of good artists that I can take inspiration from. So, it's important to not close yourself off. Don't ever do that because that will limit you. You're doing a disservice to yourself
Right,
if you
right.
do something. If you do that, because we're all here. I don't know everything, and as we go through this journey we call life, it's important to have new good experiences because not every experience is good, but it surround yourself with good experiences, growth, and people that can teach you things that you don't know. Because what else are we here for, right?
That's right, man. Yeah.
All the greats are still learning. I ask anybody. I ask, any of the old school greats that we talk about. You'll hear them go on the podcast, or you ask them a question and be like, "Yeah, I'm still learning new stuff." Kenny G still to this day practices.
Yeah. 3 or 4 hours
Yeah,
a day. Yeah. Yeah.
3 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
Still, you would think after a man that's got Grammy nominations,
Yeah.
win Grammys, got performing for Kim Kardashian, been to the top, been in movies with Mila Kunis. You would think he'd be like, "What else is I've made it?
Yeah.
What else
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
there to do?"
Yeah.
No, he still practices 4 hours a day,
Yeah.
and he because that comes from his like, look, I may have reached the top of the mountain to where people envy me and they have never gotten there, but there's still another mountain to conquer.
That's it.
You know, that's a great philosophy from to mimic because um, as long as you draw breath on this earth, there's nothing else that you haven't done. There's still more to do. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you still got more stuff to do. So that's my philosophy with it.
You know what? Let me thinking back on your success, man. When you think back to when you first started and to now, Sea Breeze in 24, you're doing the Sea Breeze, and you're doing a Dave Koz cruise, man. Is that something you dream? That's something you had to dream
No,
of,
not
huh?
at all. All right. I'll say this. I'm not gonna undersell it. I figured it would possibly happen someday. As far as like the Dave Cobb's crew, Seabreeze, I was they kind of told me I was going to be there eventually. Um, until then, I was like, I've always followed the philosophy. It's just like, all right, if you're talking about something, I'm not going to get excited about it until it happens. Once it happens, then that's when I can, show elation for it. But um, I did not ever think all of this would happen as fast as it did because I figured like, look, I know I have talent. I just know I have to work hard, and eventually it would pay off. I did not, however, foresee that it would pay off within 2 years of my emergence on the scene. Because that right there is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like an absurd time. I only came around in 2022. That was when my first single dropped. Nobody had known who I was prior to that. I had just been, featured on a couple of my dad's records and stuff like that. So they might have known, but they didn't know who I was in relation to my dad because that didn't come out till years
right.
after. So I had nobody. Except like few hundred followers on Instagram because I was in that Instagram guitar scene, but I was going in a different lane. But once I came out in 2022, I dropped my first single that goes number one for 4 weeks. My dad gets a number one 2 weeks after I leave number one
That's
spot. And then the next year in 2023, we both get back to back number ones during the summer. We both do. My dad gets a call um, from Art Good and Catalina. That was our first breakout show that October, and that's already a premier jazz. It's one of the longest running jazz festivals in the country. It's the
right.
oldest, uh, and so that was amazing recognition on itself. But then I do Seabreeze 2024. That opens the door for many shows in the future as well, including the Dave Koz cruise, I'm sure. But then I go to Portugal after that. Then I'm in Atlanta. I'm in Durham, North Carolina. Then I'm in Milwaukee. I'm going to all these places. And I'm just like, okay, this is insane. So I guess this is it, right? It's just is what it is. Then October of 2024, I get a random phone call, and I'm just sitting here. I was playing video games, just chilling, and I look at it. It's a phone number from I think it's like Georgia or something like that, like South Carolina. And something told me I was initially because I don't answer spam calls. Like I don't if it's spam, I'm just like whatever. I'm just let it go to voicemail if it's important. But I'm telling you, this is why I believe in my faith in a higher power because something told me like you better answer this phone. I answer the phone and that's the representative Peter from Dave Cobb's cruise. They're like, hey, I want to get you on the Dave Cobb's cruise.
Wow.
And when I tell you he told me that was it, I almost want to jump out of this chair that I'm in right now. And because I'm like, well, what that was the top of the mountain that I talked about. It's like, what else could I do in our genre that's bigger than this? There's not really many. There's nothing else. This is it. Um, and that was a lot of it was cool because it's like it validates like this is the journey I'm on because it's nice to have that self confidence of like okay I know that I'm a great artist or I'm a good guitarist without any of that recognition, but to get that recognition, you know what I mean, is
Yeah,
extremely validating because now it's like it's not just it's not just I don't want to say ego because that's not really what it is, but it's not just like, oh, you're telling yourself this to kind of cope with that,
yeah.
not getting the recognition, but getting the recognition. It validates all of that. So once I got that call, he's like, we want to get you and your dad on the cruise. And I go in there, I tell my dad, like, hey, whatever you're doing from May to June next year, drop it. We're going to Iceland. Like we're doing that. We're gonna have some good time. And so that was the deal is it I never thought that it would happen as fast as it did. I didn't expect to do what I've done in the last 2 to 3 years in the time that I've done it. I figured like all my experiences I'd have to stretch out over like 15 years or so. I'd be 35 finally getting called on the Dave Cobb's cruise. Happened at 25, so yeah, that's what it is so far. I'm just thankful, man. I'm blessed And I don't take it for granted. I don't take the people I have in my life for granted. I treasure all these experiences because you we're being a musician. I'm sure you're aware of this as well. Um, this is like the only career where you can do what you love and get paid to do it and travel the world while doing it.
Yes.
Because I've had to work jobs before, and I've been in that sector, I've gained that experience, but when I was there, I was like, dude, this is not what I want to do with the rest of my life. Like, I'm not doing this. This is not who I am.
Right.
This I would be doing a disservice to the purpose that I was put on this earth for by staying here and putting up with this. So I'm like, look, whatever I got to do to make this work, I'm going to do it. So I quit my job. I took a chance. I had great support system around me that allowed me to be able to take that chance because I'm well aware not many people can do that. So I'm very fortunate in that aspect, and I never take that for granted. So, but I get to now do what I love to do, travel the world while do it, meet people, and just enjoy what this life has to offer, man.
How you like being on the road, man? The road, some of the pros and cons of being a road musician, man, and the band. Let me ask you about being a band leader too. That's another thing. You know, you're the man. Your
Hmm.
name's on the marquee. So what's that like now being a band leader as well?
Yeah. So, um, my first experience was as a band leader was actually for my dad. So this was years ago. Putting a band together, directing music, making sure the music matches the artist, in this case, my dad, is reputation and his standards. And so I did that first show, I believe, in 2019. He put on a show at a country club. And that gave me a lot of experience going forward and how to do that. But a lot of this was following his example. So there was a formula that I followed that my dad, set, and because he's done it for years, that's just what he does. Um, Translating that to the road, I've learned a lot more because there's a lot of things about being on the road that I don't think many people really prepare you for. Case in point, you're going to be using pickup bands majority of the time because you will not be able to bring your band on the road with you on every show.
Right.
Budgets is just never there for
Right.
that. So, promoters typically they'll be like, well, they want to save costs, so they have a house band that you come play with. They get you send them your music, they learn it. Um, but the thing is to your question about how to make sure that this represents who I am
Right.
is that's something you definitely have to learn to navigate and also make sure that um, you're not quick to lose your temper with that because you definitely get some musicians that unfortunately I have to say that they just they're not professional. You know what I mean? That's what you deal with. They didn't properly learn the music, and so you have to then navigate that and not come off as very arrogant or that guy
Right.
because nobody wants to be that guy. So thankfully I don't believe that I've ever had that situation where I had to have done that. I've always been very respectful and just be like, hey, this is how I want this done, and just treat these people like they're human. That's just what
Yeah.
you have to do. And as far as being on the road, so far, I love it, to be honest. But you're talking to me right now. Check back with me in about 5 years
Yeah.
and see if that answer is the same. But because I know many, many, many musicians that they cannot stand the travel aspect. And I completely get it because um, as a musician, we carry our instruments with us. Flying is it's honestly quite literally a nightmare for a lot of musicians because of the whole like, oh, you're carrying an instrument that means not more to you, not just from a sentimental value, but from a monetary value. And
Yes.
airlines do not see that that
Right.
way.
Right.
And so you're trying to take a guitar on board and say, for instance, you're always booking economy because you're trying to save the most money. And then they give you crap. They're like, "Hey, we don't have no overhead space." So then you can make your gate check it. And there are so many horror stories, as I'm sure you've seen or
Yeah. Yeah.
just horns and guitars just
Mhm.
getting absolutely destroyed on the tarmac because they're not taking care of your equipment. And
Right.
so that's stuff that you have to deal with. And thankfully, that's not happened to me. I rebuke, repudiate that. That I don't want to ever deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately, a lot of musicians and a lot of my musicians friends have had to deal with that, and that kind of sours their taste on the road because it's like, dude, every time I go to a gig, I have to worry about that. Like
Right.
you're sitting there, you're about to board, you're about to deal with this, or even if you're not flying, they got a lot of bands they tour on a tour van or tour bus, and the freaking trailer gets stolen with all their gear in it. You know,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. You know, it's rough, man. That's the kind of things we deal with, and then also musicians. A lot of times, the margins for profit are very razor thin if you're making any profit at all. You know, this is not a glamorous life from what a lot of people may think. There's a lot of things that go into it that to where you really sometimes question like, yo, I love what I do, but I don't know if this is sustainable.
Right.
This is what people think of, um, and so you kind of got to weigh those balances. And so right now it's going good for me. I'm thankful and I'm proud of where I've come so far, and I keep that positive outlook going forward. Just keep pushing forward. Remember the purpose that you're here for, and what you're here to do, and just continue it.
We want to ask you about, but you said you're self-taught. So, do you have perfect pitch, or did you have relative pitch? You just pick everything up.
No, I do not have perfect pitch. I wish I did, because I was actually talking. I have this band I kind of sit in with down in the city, and one of the singers has perfect pitch. And I literally just asked him the other day. I was like, "How did you like know that you had perfect pitch?" And he's just like, "Oh, I just like whatever note he hears, he could just name exactly what it is." But he said he had to train and still learn that after the fact, even with it. But that always amazed me because I was like, dude, that would make my life so much easier just to be able to pick out a note and hear a note and be like, oh, I can tell you exactly what those are. Um, but no, as far as relative pitch, I think I have that. Um, not like super at a high level. Most of it I just rely on my ear for. Because like I can hear a note and I'll be like, okay, I can get where that is and I kind of know what's around it. Um, but self-taught for the most part, yeah, it's just learning by ear, trusting my ear, training on my instrument, learning how to master that. Let's start there. And then, work into how music works. And, you know, pretty much that. Didn't go to school for any of this. I wanted to go to school. I wanted to go to the Atlanta Institute for Music and Media called AIM. And I wanted to go there for film scoring of all things. That's really what I
Okay.
wanted to do. But my dad told me one time though, because I was considering like after I got out of high school, was like, all right, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to do music full time going this direction or music full time going that direction? And I was like, well, I don't really know at the music. I don't know at the moment. I just want to know. I just want to do music regardless. And then I go to the open house at AIM, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I want to go here. I want to learn all this stuff. And my dad tells me, he sits me down one time, and he's like, I've seen you advance in the last few years on your instrument um, to the point now that you're actually very competent on it. And he says, I don't see you, and you've done this all by yourself, Ryan. And he says, I don't see a point in you paying all this money for a school when you can teach yourself everything that they would teach you. Just go on the internet and learn it. And when he told me that, I was like, well, I can't really argue with that. You know what I mean? That's pretty sound logic to me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because at this point, it's like, yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. Like everything that they're teaching at AIM that I saw at that open house, I can go on YouTube or Google and learn it. I just have to be disciplined enough to teach myself. And I had already taught myself an entire instrument by myself just by doing the same. And so, and another thing that he was also saying was I think when he told me this was around the time I was playing. I was in the city doing a lot of gigs and around the city and getting some money. Um, he also made the point is a lot of those players and the kids that are going to those schools and music schools are trying to get to where you are now, to where you have steady work. You're having places, connections, and people that that can help you take you to that next level. A lot of them don't get that coming right out of school because he actually went to music school. He went to Loyola and studied for music, and so he's like, I've been there and did that. You're already ahead of that just coming out of the gate.
Yeah.
So don't regress and go back to that thinking you're missing out. You're already ahead of the game when it comes to that.
Yes.
And so he really gave me that lesson and that philosophy. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, like you're right. All right, I'll listen.
Well, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, you was on the Dave Cos tour, and let me ask you
Yeah.
about the NAM show, the 2020 guitar solo thing you won, man. What was that like, man?
Oh gosh, yeah, I forgot about that. So what that was kind of another moment. Like, remember I mentioned like I got that phone call and somebody told me like they answer that phone. What this was is I went to the 2020 KRK Gibson booth. This was I don't think they've done this since. They had this collaboration between Gibson guitars and KRK Sound, which makes the speaker and studio monitors, and they had a guitar solo competition. And went up there and I saw that they had it, and I was like, oh, I wonder what's cool with that. And so you sign up, they give you a time slot, and I'm like, okay, that's all cool. And um, I didn't go. I got the information, but I was like, "Hey, I'll go look at something else." I was like, I don't want to make a fool of myself at this guitar store because there's thousands of guitars here. They're all freaking insane
Yeah,
musicians because they're going to NAMM. That's
exactly.
where it is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You, yeah. You can play if you decide that you want to spend the money and all that resort tax for hotels and rent a cars and plane tickets to come to a music convention. I'm sure you can play and you can
Yeah.
hang. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to embarrass myself, but as I was walking off, something told me, you know what? Why not? Just go and do it.
Yeah.
What could happen? So I go up there, I sign up, they give me my time card. I come back at 1:30, I think. Come back 1:30 my time. They give you a guitar and they give you a backing track. And backing track is just a quick loop of just some like song that they want you to solo over, and they give you three takes. The first one is to kind of figure out like, okay, this is like the chords, the melody, this is the progression. Second one is another practice run. Third one is for the live audience that's there. And so I don't know if you've seen the video, but you can find it on my website and on my YouTube page as well. But the third one was the one that my dad shot on this camera, and that was the winner of that day was that solo. So the next day, I get a call from the guy, the rep. And he's like, "Hey, congratulations, you won day one of the competition." So it was a 4 day competition because of every day at NAM. Because at that time, NAM was 4 days.
Right.
Now it's three.
Yeah.
Um, so they take who's the grand winner for each of the 4 days, and whoever wins that wins a Epiphone guitar, KRK monitors, and a pair of headphones, I believe it was. But that's the grand prize winner, and that was determined after the NAM show concluded. So I won the first day, which was I think it was the headphones. I think I won that. And then I think like a few weeks later, after the NAM show's all said and done, I get another phone call and they tell me, "Hey, congratulations, you won the entire competition."
Wow.
So I won it was an Epiphone Uptown Cat guitar, a pair of studio monitors, which I've used ever since, and a headphone. Actually, I have the guitar if you want to see
Yeah. Let me see it, man.
it. Yeah, check it out. So this was the one. And of course, as first place prize goes, it's got to be
Wow.
in solid gold.
That's beautiful, man.
Yep. So this was the guitar that I won. Did not pay for this.
God.
You can check it. It's beautiful. I got the little gold strap to kind of go along with it. And
Wow.
yeah, it's a great guitar, man. I've used it in a couple of recordings. You can hear it on my first album as well, but I've never used it as a lead because this one actually has like more of a bluesy sound.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but it's still a great instrument, man, and I love it. So yeah, I could. Before then, I was like, I never won anything. I go to club machines, can't win nothing from there. But now I'm like, okay, universe, tell me stop complaining, shut up.
You know what, man? The thing about the NAM show, especially for the sections, man, your section, brother, just destroys every section in the NAM show. The guitar section is
Oh yeah,
humongous.
yeah. Is That's what people go there for.
I know it is
Yeah,
crazy, man.
it's insane, man. Because I mean, guitar is probably what the most popular instrument. Everybody wants to be a guitar player.
Yeah,
Personally, it's funny because as of recent times, I'm like, I don't really. I don't spend much time in the guitar section, to be honest. I might go there for a little bit, visit certain booths that I care
right.
about, but
No,
I'm not hanging around there the whole time because
right,
it's
right.
eventually just gets to the point where it's like it's just too much
No,
noise.
no.
Yeah, but and then also a lot of them are just like uh, what do you call it? Like it's a lot of politics with that because especially at the NAM show, it's like it's gotten to the point where now like brands are only really congregating with their own artists there,
Yeah,
you know? So they're not even really demoing any new guitars or something like that. Like unless you're like the big brands like Ibanez that'll have the big racks and
right.
stuff like that. Um, Most of the guitar companies are just like, hey, we got a little booth here. You'll see our name, but then you'll just have a rep, and they just see the artists that already rep their
Yeah,
band just hanging around talking. So it's kind of like, all right, well, if you're not already an artist, like, what's the point of going over there?
yeah,
There's no product to try. There's nothing there. So, um, it's cool. But I found myself, I'm actually hanging around the sax place now, man.
yeah.
Like that's where all my friends are, like
That's where I'm
Adrian,
at.
DK. Yeah, that's talk to Ellis, Najee's there, man. Mike
Yeah,
Phillips, Marcus Anderson, like that's where all my people I
yeah,
talk to. I hardly have many guitar friends in smooth jazz right now, so I'm like I'm not hardly over there unless I go
right.
talk to some people I actually do know. But um, I'm mostly into like now when I go to NAM, I'm planning to go to a lot of the software programs like
Okay.
Avid, like Universal Audio, like Shure and stuff like that. That's the people I'm kind of going to start going around and talking to. But for those who don't know what we're talking about, and I don't know how many people, but the NAMM show is a giant convention in Anaheim. It's called the National Association for Music Merchants. It's a big old. It's basically Comic Con for nerds,
Yeah,
for music nerds.
it is.
Yeah. So it's fun. It's great. It's a great time. I
It's
go and
loud.
oh my god, bring earplugs. I don't know if you're bringing them, but I'm definitely
Yeah,
bringing them.
man, it's
I've got a
loud, especially in
look.
that guitar
Oh, okay.
section, man. I walk through there, I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh my God.
Nah, listen, I'll say this. Guitar section is loud, but it's not as loud as that drum section.
Oh,
That drum section go
yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
drum section goes crazy. No, no, I can't stick around there. I've gone to NAMM for about 7 years now, and I'm like, dude, I always just want straight past the drum sets. I don't need
Yeah.
to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Go upstairs to the Yamaha room. It's all quiet up there.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. I go up there, the Yamaha ESP,
Yeah,
go to the piano room,
that's
where they got
it.
the grand pianos at. Yeah, that's my favorite room. I love that room every year I go.
It's gorgeous up there, man. They always have the
Uh-huh.
nicest stuff too. Displays, you know?
Did you ever see? I think this was a couple of years ago. They had like an all glass piano up there, grand, and it had lights and stuff like that in it. It was the most
No, I didn't see
beautiful
that
thing I've
one.
ever seen. Oh my gosh, it was a gorgeous piece. It was so beautiful. But yeah, that's why I love Nam, and I can't wait to go back. It's only what
Next
2 weeks
week. Next
from.
week.
Oh, it is next week. Oh
The
God.
20th, the 20th to the 24th, man. I know you said a couple weeks. I was like,
Oh,
hold on, man. It's
I'm sorry, I'm still stuck in last week, man. Yeah, next week. Yeah, for
just
sure.
next
I
week, man.
forgot. I fly out a week from tomorrow. So yeah.
So let me ask you about you and your dad, man, doing projects together, man. So you got anything cooking up coming up? You and your dad?
Yeah, so he's working on what do you call his next album right now, actually. He just released a single called Streets of Gold, which did very well on the charts, went to number 5. I'm playing backup guitar on that for him.
Okay.
So a lot of stuff like that's what he gets me for. He wants me rhythm.
Yeah, yeah, that's all right, man.
It's like just, hey man, I need to lay down that pocket for me. I was like, all right, I got you. But no, definitely want to do some more stuff with him. But I mean, for the most part, our collaborations are all live. We're playing together all the time. So We've got a show together in Houston again coming up. Um, got a couple throughout the year. We've got another one potentially in Vegas, which we're working on.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so we've got a few in the pipeline coming up. But yeah, man, it's a beautiful thing to work with my dad, and we have that kind of relationship, and I think it shows.
Yeah, that's
you
all
know,
right, man. I love it,
yeah, because
man. You know?
and yeah, and I'll leave you with this one, because when we do these shows, we get a lot of people that come up to us that like they love to see our bond on stage because it's a very positive thing to see. It's
Right.
not You don't see it very often. And you haven't seen it in our genre. Um, but it was great because I remember one time it was in Milwaukee at the Fresh Coast Jazz Festival, and this guy came up to me while we are at the merch table. My dad was talking to somebody else, but he told me, "It's like, look, seeing you two together on stage," he said it brought a tear to his eye because his son was incarcerated and he didn't have a relationship with him at all.
Mm.
He hadn't talked to him in years, and he says, after seeing both of you tonight and how you guys have your relationship, I'm going to reach out to my son. I'm going to build that bridge and make that connection with him and try and reach out to him after this, after seeing that. And that has always stuck with me because I'm like, that's the reason why I do what I do, is to affect change and positive change into people's lives and to actually be a image for good, and to really inspire that growth in people to be able to, like, look, I need to reach out to the people I care about, and I think that's what people see when they see both of us. They're like, look, this is a ideal relationship between a father and son. That's how it should be.
You know
And that
what?
love
That's
transcends the
beautiful.
music.
That's beautiful, man. People
Hmm.
see that, man, and I tell you what, your dad, man, he did a great job, man, because you're a very insightful young man, and you got a very bright future ahead of you, brother. You
Oh,
know,
thank you so much, my friend, man.
very much.
Listen, I'm only 26. I'm here for as long as I can be here, and I'm always learning. I'm always growing, and I always don't want to close any doors because life is all about learning and experience that growth that I talked about. And so, I've experienced a lot so far, but there's a lot more that I haven't, and I'm ready to get involved with and see who Lemek becomes in, say, the next decade or so, because it's all about evolution, right? I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not the same person I was when I was 18.
that's
Now
right.
I'm 26. I'm not going to be the same person when I'm 29, I mean, or 39 or even 40. So um it's about that life. So I'm thankful that I have great people in my life that's giving me good guidance, and my dad's one of them, my mom's another. I got great cousins, got great people, friends, and stuff. So I'm thankful. That's all I can be. That's how I can summarize. I'm just a very thankful person.
Not only are you very thankful and grateful, but you are very on top of it because being a recording artist these days, there's a 0.25% chance that a person grows up and gets a recording contract as a
Hmm.
musician.
Yeah,
0.25. So, my brother,
very much so. Yeah.
you in there.
Hmm. You're not wrong, man. And yeah, I got my dad to thank for that because he saw my talent firsthand. He saw the work I was putting in, and he was like, "Look," because how it was is I actually was going to be an independent artist, just go that route. But he saw my talent, and we had some demos that he was like, "Look, I got to shop this around, and see wherever I can get, and whoever wants to take that investment and put it into my son, I'm going to do it." So he shopped it around, and Tripping in Rhythm Records looked at it, was like, "Hey, look, we love your son. He's got the talent, he's got the motivation, and he has um, a bright future ahead of him. We want to invest in that." And so I thank my dad first and foremost, but I also thank like Les Cutmore, Jeff Lunt, folks over at Tripping Rhythm Records for taking a chance on a completely unknown person. Like
Right.
it's like there was no foundation for an online presence, no music release, there's nothing. And they took a chance on that. It was like, look, we're gonna invest in him, and we're gonna make him who he is. And you know, that's the rest is history, man. I'm thankful.
The
I guess it's
universe has spoken, okay? That's what that was.
yeah,
The universe
yeah.
has spoken, you know?
They could have chose so many other
Oh, yeah.
artists. That's kind of the deal where I kind of I feel like I don't know. I don't want to call it imposter syndrome, but it's like you do think about it. It's in the back of your head, like why me? You know, why me of all people? Because I'm always the person like I'm always learn like I keep saying I'm sorry, but like I'm always looking at other people like oh my gosh, they're amazing musicians. I want to play like that, but then you're like why aren't they like where I'm at? They deserve to be in this position just as much as I am, you
Right,
know? And you got to think about that. It's like I'm here where a lot of people are envious of. Like that's the position that I'm in. And I'm like, I don't see it like that. I want everybody to be in the position that I'm in to
right.
experience the success that I've had. You know, um, unfortunately, the world doesn't work like that. So I can only be thankful and grateful for the position that I'm in right now and make the most of it while I have it, because I don't take that for granted because whatever you can get can be taken away,
Amen.
you
Amen,
know.
brother. And, on that note, man, this has been a wonderful conversation, bro. I really appreciate your time, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, man. It's always
And I wanna
great to
see you
come in here
next
and
week.
chat.
I'll see you at NAMM one of those days next week. Imma run into
Hey,
you. I hope so.
you definitely will. Just
Yeah.
not in the drum section.
No, definitely not. We I'll probably see you in the sax section because that's where, like I said,
Yeah,
that's where
I'll be
everybody
there.
hang out though, man.
Look, I'm hanging with my dad. I'm hanging with my MD Gary Smoot, who's a piano player. My uncle, who's a guitar player. But for the most part, we're always around the sax section because
Yeah,
that's where
yeah, yeah.
everybody's at. So I'm gonna see
Cannonball.
Asia, I'm gonna say
Yeah.
Cannonball, Barry Reeds,
Right,
and all
right,
that
right.
stuff. Yeah, so I'll be in the sax section, man. I'll see you there next week, man.
Alright, man, before you go though, can you give everybody your social information and how to get in touch with you, what have you?
Yes, sir. So you want to go to my website first. That's where you can purchase CDs. You can check out some of my live performances as well as listen to a clip of some of my music. That would be Lemek Yisrael Music. I'll spell it for you. It's LEMEKYISRAEL music.com to find everything about me. You can follow me on Instagram. That's my main social media platform at Lemek Music, LEMEK Music. You can follow me on Facebook at Lemek-artist and as well as YouTube at Lemek Official. And that's where you can find me. You can find music at any of those platforms and keep up to date with any tour informations, any new music announcements, or any just general announcements, or any just life stuff that I'm doing. So, yeah, you can check that out. And I hope to be posting a 2026 tour schedule very soon for people to check that out. So keep on the lookout for that.
Alright, Lemek, thank you so much, brother. Hey, man, tell your dad, I said hello, and I'm gonna reach out to him and see if we can have a
Absolutely.
conversation as well, man.
Uh, he'll be up for it, man. I'll definitely let him know. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you so much, brother. I'll see you at NAMM next week, okay?
See you there, bro.
Alright, take care.
Later.
Ladies and gentlemen, my man Lemek, check out all his information. This young man is a outstanding guitarist, so check him out. Alright, take care, you guys.